We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. This is Josh Horn. He's from over at Social Security. We can answer questions if you have any about your SSI, disability, the application process, maybe if you're thinking of taking Social Security at this point early or later or waiting till full retirement. 737-7587 is the number. I wanted to follow up on something that Evan had brought up when he called just about, how long it can take in the process. And he talked about mental illness. And I guess when it comes to Social Security, you can qualify for disability for either a physical or a mental illness. Now, a lot of people will say, a physical illness in their mind is easier to perhaps diagnose in many cases than getting a handle on someone's schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, which creates, stress for them on the job. Is it that much more difficult, or has it gotten better? Is it almost the same, or is it still more difficult to diagnose mental illness?
Yeah, it's. I think probably it's more challenging to figure out how long it may take, to return to work, or if they can return to work. Because again, disability has to last for a year or longer. Well, if you've just been diagnosed with a condition, it takes a little while to get your medicines right, and a lot of times if you get the medicines, where it needs to be, then you can return to work, and then sometimes you can't. That's the whole thing. And so if you're kind of right there at the beginning, sometimes it's a difficult thing to determine if it's going to last for a year longer, which is another reason why we see more folks getting approved at the reconsideration and and especially the judges level, because by then a year has elapsed, and both physical and mental, you're able to look back and say, okay, well, that definitely did last more than a year. But on the front end, sometimes it can be a little more challenging.
Yeah, that's interesting, because if you have, say, panic disorder or some of these others, many of them with proper treatment sometimes can control it. Not with everyone, but then they have to make sure they take their meds and stuff. So if you can have a med that controls it, but you choose not to, you're not going to qualify.
Yeah,
I'm just saying you have to work to. In any situation, you want to try to improve yourself, whether it's physical or mental. If you choose not to seek that treatment, then that's not going to. Oh, you're not taking treatment? Okay, we'll put you on disability. That doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a lot more challenging of a situation for sure.
Okay, let's go to Michelle. Michelle, good morning. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Hey, how
are you?
Good.
I had a stroke in January 1st, 2010.
Okay.
And it was pretty bad. And I applied for Social Security, and they've told me, they're like, okay, I went to court and everything. They denied me. Okay, I'm trying to get back in there again, and they're saying they're waiting on the papers, on the reports and all that, on the doctors. And my doctor told me, he's like, Miss Lewis, he said, you're in bad shape. Why did they deny you? I want to get better, but I keep developing more blood clots, so.
Well, what are the symptoms? Are you paralyzed, or are you in pain? What are your symptoms?
I can't hardly walk. My whole right side's giving out. The doctor told me when I had the stroke, he said, you'll wake up one day and will not be able to walk at all. I forget where I'm at, what I'm doing. It's terrible. It is terrible. It's a scary thing.
How old are you?
I'm 54.
Wow. And what kind of work did you do? I'm just curious, before your stroke.
I was a tax preparer at H&R Block.
Okay.
Plus, I did audits in Internal Revenue, which I can't do no more, But
Sure.
But I was working at Cracker Barrel, and that's when I had the stroke.
Okay, so that was in 2010, and you've applied and gone through the process once. Did you continue to appeal it? Is it still pending, or did you kind of walk away from it when they said no, and now you're going to try again?
Well, I would try it again, and the lady, she's working with me, but we're seeing where to go, because I'm just, the doctor told me, he said, you can work about 10 hours. He said, nothing heavy over 10 pounds on the right side. And, because it's getting worn out. When I pick something up, I drop it, I'm afraid. I'm really afraid, and it's just.
Now,
he said the blood clots are terrible.
I'm so sorry. All right. Well, Josh, what do you think with her?
That's definitely a tough situation. It sounds like she's in the process right now. Kind of what you alluded to a second ago. Make sure, for some reason you're not approved. and you feel like you're disabled, you disagree with that, hey, I am disabled, then go ahead and file for your appeals, go through the appeal process. You have 60 days once the decision's made.
Okay, so I'm guessing if it was 2010, she's going to have to start over again.
Well, it sounds like she has started over. I think she did it once in 2010, and it sounds like she's kind of going through it again now, and so follow up on those appeals. The judge, take it to the judge's level, at the hearings level. Just make sure and do it in in that timely fashion.
We've talked about this before when there's someone who, at least based on what it sounds like there with Michelle, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with her. If what she says is accurate, she sounds like she would qualify. And so you wonder if the reason she's been rejected is maybe not everything that's needed has been presented. And that's where sometimes you look at the idea of a lawyer. And she's going to say, Nick, I can't afford a lawyer. Would you explain how that works?
Yeah, so a lot of folks choose to have representation, a lawyer or a non-attorney representative to help them through the process. There's a number of different ones out there, but those folks don't get paid unless you're approved, and they are awarded, or they're paid through your retroactive pay. So if it takes you a year and a half from the time you contacted us to the time you're approved, you're going to get back pay from the point that you first talked to us. And so if that's $5,000, $10,000, however much that is, they're going to get paid 25% out of that back pay, maximum of 25% or $6,000, whichever's the lesser, or whichever is it's a maximum of $6,000 basically.
Yeah, so Michelle, there are a lot of lawyers out there that do specialize in filing for Social Security benefits for clients just like you. And so if you approach them and they think your case and they look at you is worthy and they look at your paperwork, they're going to take your case because they can make a quick $6,000 off it. And from your perspective, I think that 25% at $6,000 is worth paying out if it gets you your benefit. And it's just a one-time payment to them. It's not $6,000 for the rest. It's just that 1 year. So that may be something, if you haven't thought of it, of possibly considering hiring an attorney. And I guess the point would be maybe the attorney these guys know what they're doing, right? And women, they've been through it, and they can look through your file and maybe realize, oh, well, this is missing, or we need to put this in, and they can maybe present it in a way that helps you get the disability. Yeah, I mean, these guys know. I know that we've had attorneys on here before who formerly worked for Social Security, who are now lawyers because they know where to look. Men and women who are fine lawyers that'll do this. So consider that, Michelle, as well, if you think you're not getting anywhere by applying on your own. Let's go next to Lee. Lee, good morning. Hi, Lee. Are you there, Lee? Hey, go ahead, buddy.
Great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, I just want to bring to your attention about disability. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Yeah, I live in a 55-year and older building, and you have no idea that how much people abuse disability. There's people here that's been on disability for 20, 30 years, and they've never done anything. They do not want to work. All they want to do is drink and do drugs. You mentioned earlier that they want to go to work. My experience is that they do not want to go to work. They're more than happy to get their $600 or $800 check, and that's it. So the point was that I wanted to bring to your attention about how wrong I think you are.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't people that abuse it. I've heard people with the same type of stories that he has said where, I mean, there are folks out there that maybe instead of trying to improve themselves, they sit around drinking or they go gambling their money. I don't know where they get the money to do it. I've heard stories like that. So I think he's right. I don't think that's the majority of people out there. And one reason I think that is, if you're able to work somehow and make more, you want to live on $700 a month?
Yeah. I
mean, come on. That's not a lot. Now, maybe they have other money that they've deceived and hid, and that's illegal, and they should be busted for that. But I mean, $700-800 a month, if they're happy living like that, which that's below the poverty line, whatever. Okay, that's one reason I just don't believe there's a bunch of people unless they're just messed up and they're doing drugs. I don't know how far that money's going to take them. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there are individuals out there like that. I mean, that's just reality. But every day we've got folks coming into our office or calling in saying, hey, I've gone back to work, or I wasn't able to do that job, but I started this job. I need to report my wages. I mean, because you've got to report your wages anytime you go back to work, even if it's just a little bit. And so every day we've got those report of wages coming in for us to document and put into the system to try to help prevent any kind of overpayments. So I mean, every day I'm seeing people come in saying I'm trying to go back to work, and sometimes they go through the process and it's awesome. They go back to work and they're off the rolls and they go from there. Sometimes they try and unfortunately, it doesn't work, but they tried, and sometimes there's cases in between. So
I don't doubt what Lee says at all. The thing about it too is when you get your Social Security, whether it's disability, SSI, whatever, Social Security doesn't earmark the money they're giving you that you have to spend it a certain way. Look, if you're disabled, and you truly are, okay, and that's different. If you're not, then that's fraud. But if you're truly disabled and you get your Social Security check and all you want to do is spend it on whiskey, that's your call, all right? And Lee may not like that, but if they just want to sit around and get drunk all day and that's how they get by, whatever, then that's their call.
Yeah.
You guys don't tell them how to spend the money.
That's right.
All right, let's go next to Debbie. Debbie, good morning. What's on your mind, Debbie?
Yes. My brother has vascular dementia, okay, and I'm his POA, and I tried to get representative Payee. I called first at the Social Security office, and they told me to go, downtown Nashville. I wouldn't need any paperwork or anything. And when I get down there, this gentleman tells me, oh, well, no, a doctor has to do that. And she implied that they would give me all the paperwork and everything get filled out, and we'd go from there. So what's the deal?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I mean, coming into the office, this is actually one of the few things that we do require face-to-face interaction with, is to apply to be a representative payee for somebody. So I mean, that part of it's definitely true. And the other thing that's mentioned is a doctor's report. That's when we make the decision to appoint somebody a representative payee, basically we're taking that individual's right, or whatever you want to call it, to receive their check personally. We're kind of taking that away from them, so we take it very, very seriously. So one of the pieces of information that we generally try to obtain is a doctor's statement, or there's a form that the doctor fills out, and that's what they were referring to as well. Now, they should have allowed you to at least go ahead and apply to be, take the application to be the payee, and then we could get the doctor's statement later on. So, if that didn't happen, again, you could probably call or talk to the supervisor in that scenario. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but you should be able to at least apply, get the application process started, and then they can take it from there.
So she already is power of attorney, all right? And so the representative payee, just so people understand, that means perhaps this person that she's caring for, is no longer able to really manage their own money in such a way. So that check then is sent to her, or she has access to the monthly Social Security check, which would be used then to pay for the needs of that individual, which is why you take it so seriously, because there can be people out there thinking, yeah, I want to be the representative payee, and they take the money and this person doesn't get what they need. So you really want to track that. I don't know, once you give someone that power, you guys can't keep tabs. What if they turn out to be unscrupulous?
Well, I mean, actually we do keep tabs on that. So basically every year, if you're a representative payee, you're going to get an accounting. You have to write in, how did you spend, this is how much money was given to you this year for this individual, how did you spend it? And you've got to annotate, how much did you spend on housing, clothing. That's sent back, and if we don't get that back, we usually make a couple of attempts. So if we don't get that back, then we'll probably stop the check and reevaluate whether you're suitable to be a a payee or not. And so, yeah, we do take that process very seriously. We don't recognize power of attorney. I know a lot of folks go out there and do that. We kind of have our own system, which is the representative payee, and it's the money is going to that payee for the individual, and they're responsible for making sure the individual's needs are met. So
and I'm sure that's what Debbie would do.
Exactly,
it's just she needs to go through the process, and I think she would care for that person. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, more calls in our final segment. Kathy and others, we got lines open too if you want to jump in. 737-7587 right after this.